Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to my channel Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new movie review, and today we are discussing a new A24 horror movie by the name of False Positive, which actually premiered at Tribeca last week and will be available today to stream and watch on Hulu. Now, I got a chance to check it out last night, and I'm really excited to share my thoughts with you all and let you know if it's worth checking out in this spoiler-free review. Before we break it all down, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. That way you can get the alert from when I drop new content. If you all enjoyed this review, well, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, share the video. It helps out the channel so much, but I also appreciate the support. And in the comments below, let's talk about this movie. Let me know if you were excited for the film, and of course, once you've seen it, whether it's on Hulu or you saw it at Tribeca, what'd you think about it? It is a horror film. Were you creeped out? Were you scared by the movie? What'd you think of the narrative, the story, the performances? Were you let down by this movie? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. So for me personally, this movie had everything going for it as far as anticipation goes. Number one, you have A24, which, I mean, seriously, their track record speaks for itself, especially in the horror genre. Always expect the unexpected from A24. And then you give me this cast. I'm such a big Ilana Glazer fan. I love Broad City. I missed that show so much. So I was excited to see her go from comedy to horror and leading a horror film. You give me Justin Theroux, who's a great actor, but he is a part of one of my favorite shows of all time, and Leftovers, such a great show. And then the cherry on top, Pierce Brosnan. And then you put it in the horror genre, which is one of my favorite genres out there. Let's get into this review, starting off with my positives. Let's talk about the cast. Starting off with Ilana Glazer, who plays Lucy, who is a wife to Adrian, who's played by Justin Theroux. Very loving, happy couple. They both have great jobs. They both are doing great in their careers. But the only thing they're not able to accomplish is to become parents. So we have Adrian suggest to his wife that they go visit a friend who's a doctor, played by Pierce Brosnan. He's a miracle doctor. If you can't have a child, he's going to make that miracle, that dream come true. As you would imagine, he does his procedure, and voila, we have Adrian and Lucy expecting to be new parents. So going back to Ilana as the lead of this film, I thought for the most part, again, I was really looking forward to seeing her go from comedy to horror. I've always seen it. Comedians, they always make us laugh, but they can make us cry. So what was she like in this horror film? Now, this film does have a lot of shades of Rosemary's Baby. And what I liked about Ilana in this movie, I liked how she was able to embrace all the fears of motherhood. Now, I obviously am not a mother, can't be a mother. But as far as just seeing her go through her journey in this film, whether it be the subject matters that the film tackles, like number one, what it's like to be a new mom, the pressures of being a mom, all the stuff of like, doctors, choosing your birth plan, choosing what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. It really kind of embraces that horrific side of motherhood. Now, of course, motherhood is such a beautiful thing. Mothers are the best in the world, but it has some fears, especially if you're expecting your first child and you try so hard to have a child. So I thought she did a great job of that. The film kind of shines a light on it. I had mentioned Lucy and her husband, Adrian, they have successful careers, and Lucy in her force field, she's up and coming. She gets this opportunity, she's balancing, okay, I'm about to be a mom, but I also have this promotion at work. But what does it look like when the man dominant field looks at you as like the wife, the woman? You should maybe not do this case. You should take some time off and embrace motherhood. So she tackles all the norms and all the stereotypical things that men kind of put in that field in regards to the pressures of motherhood. So I thought she really did a good job of embracing that kind of aspect and tackling those themes. And then as far as the horror moments, I thought she embraced, again, when you get into these films, and I'll get into this a little bit in my negatives as far as the predictability, when you have a movie with someone embracing motherhood, and we obviously know it's a horror film, so as you may or may not know, there's hallucinations, is this real, is that fake, and then there's the whole thing of like, you're crazy, you're not knowing what you're doing, you have mommy brain. So I thought that she really did a good job of embracing like, no, I'm not crazy, this stuff is happening, I don't trust my doctor, what's going on with my baby, all that stuff. I thought she did a good job of embracing her character in that sense. But I do have some criticisms with her character a little bit later. But for the most part, Ilana Glazer, she impressed me because, again, I've known her for comedy, and there's not a lot of comedy at all in this film. I thought she did a good job of embracing the dramatic, thrilling, horrific elements of her character. Going to some other characters that stood out to me, Pierce Brosnan as the creepy doctor, the good doctor, but also creepy stuff that he does behind closed doors as John. He was perfectly casted because, again, Pierce Brosnan, he has the smile, he has the charm, he has the charisma. He can't do anything wrong. You guys remember, he's James Bond. He was the stepdad in Mrs. Doubtfire. He's a great guy. or is he? And I like how the film handles his character. Again, he looks nice on the inside, but he has some really sinister things that he has in an inside of his head. So I thought that he was perfectly casted. And the rest of the cast, you know, Justin Theroux, I'll talk about him a little bit later. He's a great actor, but I just think the script didn't really have much for him to do. And all the other supporting characters were okay. I'll get to them a little bit later, but for the most part, Ilana Glazer and my man Pierce Brosnan did a good job in their roles. As far as a narrative and a story, I touched on it a little bit, but I thought the themes of, again, the horrors of being a mother, a first-time mom, you know, taking in, maybe I should be friends with other mom, maybe I should take time off work, and all the different pressures that come with motherhood. Again, the idea of this male-dominant field of how men think you should handle your pregnancy, it tackles that pretty well. And as far as horror goes, it's not the traditional horror. Again, horror can be looked at in many different genres, but especially when you're looking at, you know, parenthood, I thought that the horror moments of, again, the uncertainty, what doctor should I go to? What things should I do? Should I not do? Again, messing with your head and all the stuff you can read online about, okay, am I bleeding too much? Should my stomach be this big? All that stuff, it kind of played into there. So, and also, I can't leave out the production of the film. It's a good-looking film. The score is pretty creepy. It embraces the creepiness. And the third act really does get to those more horrific, trippy, thriller vibes. So those are my positives. Let's talk about my negatives. I have to say it right off the bat, this film is extremely predictable. And it's very unfortunate because, again, it's A24. And as I said up top, expect the unexpected with A24. And everything pretty much played out exactly how I imagined from seeing the trailer and especially seeing how things kind of play out. Don't want to give anything away, but something happens early on with the pregnancy and you already knew. You're like, come on, guys, can you be a little bit more creative in regards to the situation that was at hand? And once it kind of happens, it's like, that's not a surprise. And the thing that kind of made me upset with the predictability is this is the type of horror film that relies on the twist. And when the twist happens, you already see it happen. You don't even have to be someone that sees a bunch of movies or watch a bunch of horror films to know what happens. It's like literally in your face what's going to happen. So that kind of really was unfortunate. Everything kind of played out exactly how I'd imagine. And again, you don't even have to be a movie expert to know what's going down in this film. So again, predictability was very negative for me in this film. I mentioned Justin Theroux. The chemistry between him and Ilana, two great actors. I never felt the chemistry, guys. I never felt that they were a husband and wife. I never felt that they had a history together. They felt so separated for most of the film that I never really felt that connection. And when things kind of hit the fan, it's just like Justin Theroux, he could have literally been casted. Anyone could have been in the role. And that's no disrespect to Justin Theroux. I just think that the script just made that character so generic. It's the stereotypical husband that he does good at work. He seems to be a loving husband. He seems to be saying all the right things. But once stuff hits the fan, he does all the tropes that you see in horror films. So that was kind of unfortunate. And then just going back into the narrative of the film, again, I appreciate the themes, the stuff that the film tackles, but the actual story, the lead up, again, I applaud the third act for being, you know, they had some very good imagery. It was dark. It was a lot of blood. It was this, that, and the other. But it's the lead up. The first two acts, I hate to be so generic in saying this word, but I found the first two halves of this film to be extremely boring and just meander through. And there's a certain subplot involving Lucy and a birth mom and all that stuff that just really didn't go anywhere. And that's where I want to finish my cons at. The film, the narrative, it doesn't really go anywhere. Again, it tackles the motherhood themes and all the horrors that come with that. But once you end the film, once you see the ending of this movie, you're just like, wow, we just watched an hour and a half to lead up to that. So again, no spoilers, but I was just pretty disappointed by this, the overall narrative, what the film was trying to say in this movie. So that's my positives, that's my negatives. Do I recommend you all check it out? What's my score for the film? Well, we're going to get into that in a second, but before we do so, again, make sure if you like this video to give it a thumbs up, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments once you've seen the film, and of course, subscribe to the channel. False positive, overall thoughts. Look, applaud Ilana. She does a good job. I would like to see her in more horror films. I thought she really embraced her character and the horrific elements of being a mom. The visuals are there. The creepiness is there. It has a pretty good score to really kind of enhance that thrilling aspect. But unfortunately, I feel like there were so many wasted characters. I feel like the film really doesn't have much to kind of say in regards to, okay, what are we trying to get to? We have this setup. We have all these things that are so predictable. And where do we end? It's just an unfortunate ending, an unsatisfying, anticlimactic ending for me. So with that being said, I'm gonna give False Positives a 2.5 out of 5, which really sucks because again, it's A24, great cast, it's horror, but just for me, it just didn't really work. But that's just my thoughts. You guys can check it out. It's free. It's on Hulu. Once you do, let me know what you thought of it. If I'm being too harsh, did you love the film? Did you enjoy the performances? Or were you like me and was a bit let down? Let's discuss it in the comments. As always, make sure to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell. That way you don't miss any of my other content. Hope you all are staying safe. Hope you enjoyed this review. We'll see you on the next video.